Put on your headphones for the best experience. My name is Bridget. I am 28 years old, and I grew up in a small, quiet town where everyone knew each other by name, where front doors stayed unlocked and neighbors still baked bread for one another. My parents were deeply religious and very strict about the values they believed in. From the time I was a little girl, they taught me lessons about life, about respect, and most importantly, about love. My mother often said something that stayed with me for many years. "Love is pure," she would tell me, her voice soft as evening light, "and marriage is a sacred promise." My father believed the same. He taught me that the person I chose to marry would become my partner for life, the one who would stand beside me through every joy and every hardship. Because of their teachings, I grew up with a belief that many people around me did not understand. I believed I should wait for marriage. I did not want to give my heart away easily. I wanted to save it for one person, the man who would truly become my husband. So, while other girls in my school dated boys and went to parties, my life looked very different. I never had a boyfriend. I never held a boy's hand at a dance. I never kissed anyone. And this was not because my parents forced me. It was my own choice, my own quiet conviction. I believed that one day I would meet someone who respected that choice, someone who would understand my values, someone who would love me enough to wait. When I went to college, the difference became even more visible. My friends talked openly about their relationships, dates, heartbreaks, and new boyfriends every few months. Sometimes they laughed at me. "Bridget, you're too old-fashioned," one of them said once. Another girl jokingly asked, "Are you waiting for a prince?" But their teasing never really hurt me, because I believed in who I was, and deep in my heart, I still dreamed about my wedding day, walking down the aisle in a white dress, looking into the eyes of the man I loved, knowing that everything I had saved, my heart, my trust, my dreams, belonged only to him. That dream meant everything to me, and for many years, I waited. One ordinary afternoon, something happened that changed my life. I went to a small coffee shop near the center of town. I was sitting alone at a table with a cup of coffee and a notebook when I noticed someone looking at me. A man stood near the counter. He was tall, confident, and handsome. His dark hair was perfectly styled, and he carried himself with a quiet ease that made people naturally look at him. When our eyes met, he smiled. My heart began beating faster. A few moments later, he walked over. "Hi," he said politely. "Is this seat taken?" I shook my head. "No." He sat down and introduced himself. "My name is Robert." His voice was warm and calm, and he spoke with an easy confidence that made conversation feel effortless. We talked for almost an hour that day. Robert complimented my clothes, said he liked the way I spoke. For someone who had never dated before, his attention felt both exciting and overwhelming. That evening, I told my friend Molly about him. Molly knew many people in town. When she heard his name, her expression changed. "Bridget," she said carefully, "be careful." "What do you mean?" I asked. "Robert is known for being a playboy. He dates many women and never stays with any of them for long." Her warning made me uneasy, but deep down, I hoped she was wrong. I wanted to believe Robert was different with me. Maybe my sincerity would reach him. Maybe love could make him a better man. Soon, Robert began calling every day. He sent flowers. He sent sweet messages telling me how special I was. Every time my phone rang, my heart jumped with excitement. No one had ever treated me this way before. I began to fall in love with him, but I had no idea that the dream I was building in my heart was about to turn into the most painful lesson of my life. Robert always knew exactly what to say. His words were soft, charming, full of affection. "You're different from other girls," he told me one afternoon. "You're honest, pure." Hearing those words made my heart feel warm. I wanted to believe he saw something real in me. We walked through the park, drank coffee at the same cafe where we first met, and talked about our dreams for the future. Robert would look at me in a way that made me feel like I was the only person in the world. Slowly, I began to imagine a life with him. One evening, Robert invited me to dinner at a beautiful restaurant in the city. Soft lights, white-clothed tables, gentle music in the air. When I arrived, he stood up and smiled. "You look wonderful tonight." I felt my cheeks grow warm. All evening, he treated me with such tenderness, asking about my childhood, my parents, my dreams for the future. For the first time in my life, I felt like someone truly cared about my heart. When dinner ended, he drove me home. The night air was cool, the streets quiet. He parked in front of my house and turned toward me. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then Robert looked directly into my eyes. "Bridget," he said quietly, "I cannot stop thinking about you." My heart raced. I felt nervous and excited at the same time. Then he slowly leaned closer. Before I even realized what was happening, his lips touched mine. It was my first kiss. For years, I had imagined that moment happening only after marriage. But in that quiet night, sitting beside him in the car, I didn't pull away. I allowed myself to feel it. When the kiss ended, I felt both happy and confused. A part of me remembered my parents' teachings. I wondered if I had made a mistake. But another part of me felt something new. Love. The next day at the park, something shifted. Robert seemed eager, almost impatient. He tried to pull me closer. I gently stepped back. "Robert," I said quietly, "no. I want to wait until we are married." The words were difficult to say, but they were important to me. He stared at me for a moment. Then, suddenly, he smiled. "If that's what you want," he said softly, "then we'll marry soon. Very soon." My heart filled with joy. A week later, he called with excitement in his voice. "Come with me to Las Vegas," he said. "I need to travel there for work. And Bridget, we can get married there. I don't want to wait any longer." For a moment, I couldn't speak. My dream was happening. The man I loved wanted to marry me. I said yes. A few days later, we flew to Las Vegas. The city was loud and bright, full of flashing lights and busy streets, so different from my quiet hometown. I felt a little lost, but Robert held my hand and smiled. "Don't worry, I'm here." I wore a simple white dress I had packed in my suitcase. We found a small chapel not far from our hotel. No guests, no family, no friends, just Robert and me. The ceremony was short. Within a few minutes, we were husband and wife. Robert kissed me and whispered, "Now you're mine." In that moment, I believed I was the happiest woman in the world. But that evening, something felt wrong. Robert's eyes no longer held the same warmth. Instead of sitting close to me, he poured himself a glass of wine, then another. He picked up his phone and walked into the other room. "I need to take this call," he said. I sat alone in the hotel room. Minutes passed, then an hour. The silence felt heavy. I was married, but strangely, I felt completely alone. The next morning was worse. When I woke up, Robert was already dressed, staring out the window like he had somewhere else to be. "Good morning," I said softly. He didn't answer. I have something to do, he said briefly. Then he left. 1 hour passed, then another. By evening, my heart was gripped with fear. Finally, the door opened. Robert walked in, but he didn't smile. He didn't look at me. I want a divorce, he said, his voice cold. I thought I had misheard. What? I want a divorce. My heart stopped. I waited for him to laugh, to say it was a joke. He didn't. You're not what I wanted, he said bluntly. You're too simple, Bridget. You don't belong in my world. Tears blurred my vision. Yesterday we got married, I whispered. He looked at me without any emotion. You waited your whole life for marriage, he said coldly. And look what it gave you. In that moment, my heart broke completely. He picked up his jacket. I'll send the divorce papers. And then he walked out. I stayed in that hotel room for a long time, crying until I felt hollow inside. The dream I had protected for so many years had collapsed in less than 24 hours. Eventually, I packed my suitcase and flew home alone. The flight felt endless. I kept replaying everything in my mind, searching for answers I would never find. When I arrived home, my parents were shocked. But instead of comfort, there was anger. You married a man you barely knew, my father said. You have shamed this family. My mother's eyes filled with disappointment. You should have listened to us. Their words cut almost as deep as Robert's. I felt like I had lost everything at once. My husband, my home, my family's support. But one person stood beside me, Molly. She opened the door of her small apartment and hugged me without saying a word. You can stay here, she said, no matter what. In that moment, I realized something important. Even when your whole world falls apart, sometimes the people who truly care about you are still there. Life slowly began to move again. At first, everything felt empty, but Molly encouraged me to get out of the apartment, find work, rebuild. With her support, I eventually found a job in a bookstore. The bookstore became a quiet place where I could breathe again. I arranged books, helped customers, and slowly learned how to live without constantly thinking about Robert. But the memories still followed me. Sometimes when I saw couples walking together, I felt a sharp pain in my chest. Sometimes I wondered if I had made a terrible mistake trusting him so quickly. Still, little by little, I became stronger. One afternoon, something unexpected happened. I was organizing magazines near the front of the store when a cover caught my attention. The face made my heart jump. Robert. He was standing at a glamorous party, surrounded by expensive lights and elegant people. Beside him stood a beautiful woman in a sparkling dress. The headline read, "Businessman Robert Sinclair's Secret Marriage." My hands began to shake. I had never known Robert was rich. To me, he had simply been the charming man from the coffee shop who said he loved me. Now I stared at the truth. He was a famous businessman, a powerful man with money and influence, and a life completely different from mine. Suddenly, my confusion turned into something harder. Anger. Robert had used me. He married me, then abandoned me the next day, as if I meant nothing. Maybe it had all been a game to him. But something inside me changed in that moment. For the first time since the divorce, I stopped crying. I felt something stronger instead. I wanted justice. I went to a lawyer. My hands were still trembling when I placed the wedding papers on his desk. He read everything carefully, then looked up. "Your marriage is legal," he said. "You have rights." Those words gave me strength. I was not asking for revenge. I was not asking for luxury. I only wanted fairness. Robert had left me with nothing after promising me a life together. My lawyer filed a legal claim for financial support. When Robert received the papers, he called immediately, his voice furious. "Do you really think you can take my money?" I stayed calm. "You took my heart," I said quietly. "Now I will take what I deserve." I hung up. The news of our secret marriage became public. Journalists wrote about it. Reporters asked questions. For the first time, the powerful businessman who had humiliated me was facing public attention. Months later, the court ruled in my favor. The money itself was not what mattered most. What mattered was the message, that Robert could not treat people as disposable and walk away without consequence. Soon after, my parents called. For the first time since I returned home, their voices sounded softer. "Bridget," my mother said quietly, "please come home. We forgive you." For a moment, my heart felt warm, but something had changed inside me. "I love you too," I told them gently, "but I need to live my own life now. I need to be independent." With the money from the court case, I made a new beginning. I bought a small apartment, not large or luxurious, but mine, a place where I could build a life on my own terms. I returned to my studies, and for the first time, my future belonged completely to me. I still believed in love, but my understanding of love had changed. Love cannot survive without respect. Robert never respected me. That was why our marriage failed before it even began. Sometimes I still see his face in magazines. He looks the same, confident, wealthy, proud. But when I see him now, I don't feel pain, because something inside me remained untouched. My heart, my values, my belief in who I am. The world tried to break me, but it didn't succeed. Today, I am stronger, wiser, and free. My name is Bridget, and my story did not end with a broken marriage. It began with finding my own strength. And so, our story comes to an end for tonight. I hope it brought you peace and a little bit of magic. If you enjoyed this journey, please leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, sleep well and sweet dreams.